welcome to another edition of Mortgage Talks. I'm your host, Adam Hires. Another awesome one slated today. Been a couple weeks off out of here, so I appreciate all the loyal fans continue to listen to and watch these. I've seen a lot of downloads going on in the 2 weeks of absence, so I apologize for the 2 weeks of absence, but hey, we're back, baby. And my last podcast was we introduced some Glow Genius Loan Officer. That is a new, I tell you, spectacular program that we're putting out for mortgage loan officers. We got pre-launching going on right now. You need to get in while the getting is hot and good. And we got some special things going on for those early entries, right? But on the podcast today, and we're not going to spam with a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to bring the knowledge bombs to you, and I have none other than I proudly introduce my business partner in Genius Loan Officer Glow, Dallas Hardcastle. What's going on, Dallas?
Hey, Adam, thanks for having me on again, man. It is such an honor to be on here. And yeah, I'm excited to talk with these business owners and help them to be able to grow their business bottom line.
Absolutely. And that's what we want to go over today is being a business owner. And what I can tell you out there listeners, and Dallas is going to go over this, and I'm sure he's going to have some stories, but you have stories going on in your head right now that you're just a loan officer. And when people say, well, what was the biggest transformation you had? And it really goes back to one singular thing that built off of that. And it was, I'm a business owner. I'm the CEO of my business. I'm not just a loan officer. And that everything from there was built off of that premise. And I want you to understand, if you're a loan officer, you're a business owner, you own that. Now, you may be right now, you don't have a team, you still got to operate the same way. You still got to operate the mindset that way. And then what do you need to put in place? All those other things that you can do to now be the business owner that you can be. But Dallas, I want to really dive into this because you've been helping business professionals, loan officers, all walks of life with this same area, and I have as well. And so let's deep dive into that. And what have you seen out there that's going on with people's headspace that's not allowing them to get there? What have you seen that they've done to overcome that, et cetera?
Yeah, it's the two things over and over and over. And these things are they're so fundamental, and they'll be so easy for you and I to describe. The downside is that it really is a process, right?
Yeah.
You and I can bullet these two things, and when people are listening right now, there's going to be a lot of you just nodding your head saying, just, I get it. These are the two areas. These are the two areas. You're going to hear these two things and you're going to know it. You're going to nod your head. You're going to nod in agreement and say, that's me, that's me, that's me. But then is the next step of, well, then how do we actually fix it? But the two things that hold small business owners back are number one, as you say, they're not the CEO. They are the marine biologist. They are the person running the consulting firm. They are the loan officer. They are the financial planner. They're the person they've titled themselves, okay, I'm a loan officer. I'm a marine biologist. I'm a social worker. So not only are they working these long hours, i.e. they're not in control of their own business, but the other factor that is so often ignored is that what are they spending these hours doing, right? Yeah. You can talk to someone who loves something that they do, the marine biologist, and they're working 60 hours a week. Well, if they're spending 60 hours a week in the ocean, swimming with the dolphins, swimming with the seals, swimming with the whales, and being able to then study these findings and go through this stuff, man, that is just rewarding stuff. But if you talk to them, what they're going to tell you is, well, that would be great, but I spend, maybe 10 hours of my week in the water, And then the rest of the time I'm compiling data and I'm working on spreadsheets and I'm presenting stuff to management and I'm having to go through these processes and I'm sitting in meetings and I'm having to get approvals on things and I'm having to go out and fundraise. It's all of this stuff that creates the stress. If you're a social worker and you're walking into the hospitals and you're saying, gosh, I'm spending 50 hours a week working. Well, the 50 hours a week is the bad part. The worst part is that when you talk to them, it's that they're only spending 1 or 2 hours a day with the patient, with the family member, the people that they really want to talk with, work with, consult, help. The other 6, 7 hours a day are talking with their managers, in meetings, in front of the computer, putting scripts together, ordering all of this stuff, all of this admin, all of this paperwork, all of this junk that they hate doing. So it's not just the 50 hours, it's spending 40 of those 50 hours doing the junk that they have no business doing and that candidly they hate doing.
Yeah.
You step side into the world of the loan officer, and guess what? It's the same thing, right? It's not only am I working 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week, but I'm here to change families' trajectory, to change their lives, to change their
Right.
livelihood, to change their to change how they move forward. But how much of your day are you spent doing that? It's like, well, I get to talk to some families, but then a lot of my day is spent replying to emails with the lending or with the title company or with these realtors or with people that are chirping at me, people that are upset, that are angry. I'm trying to process these loans. I'm trying to get through all these hurdles. I'm trying to run a team. I'm trying to get my marketing put together. I'm trying to follow up with sales. If they have a 9 hour day, 6 or 7 of those hours are spent doing things that not only do they dislike, but candidly, they just can't stand doing because they're just not good at it, right?
Right.
So when you're talking with these loan officers too, I'm sure you're hearing and seeing the exact same thing,
Yeah.
that when you visit your friend's house and there's people there, they're just so happy in their lives and they're so fulfilled. And I have friends like this that, maybe they're making half or a third of what I'm making, but they're just so fulfilled and they're so happy because they spend all of their day just getting to do things they love.
Yeah.
But hell is spending long hours doing crap you hate.
Yeah.
And those are things I'm sure you see all the time with people you talk with too.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to kind of illuminate there is you said, they think that they're not good at. However, the biggest lie in that is people tell themselves the lie that they're really good at it,
Yeah.
and they say they're really good at getting the paperwork and nobody else can do it as good as they can. And they perpetuate that lie because sometimes it's easier than saying you don't like it and you want to hire it out or whatever is going on in that headspace. And somehow through time, you've told yourself that lie, right? I mean, people tell ourselves that lie all the time. I've had several people I've talked to, loan officers, and that lie becomes just perpetuated over and over. And it's like, okay, so what are you the best at in doing in your business? And it's like everything, right? Like, man, that's you either you're
That's
either
amazing.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's crazy that you're the best at everything. But really it's either you don't have self-awareness, maybe,
Like,
or
right? Like
or you've
zero
just,
self-awareness.
or you've come into the wrong circle or something. But there's no way that you're the best at all those things. You're only, as the genius loan officer, we're certainly not geniuses, and we certainly don't want, when clients are going to come in and loan officers think, hey, you're just a genius. We want you to be a genius at a few things, right? And the genius of that is, that you're not the best at everything, and that is working inside the genius to get to the G6, as we call it. And that's just the 6 hours of genius that is absolutely crushing it. And you're working 6 hours and absolutely being a top producer in your business. And it's real. It happens. We've seen it. We've gotten there. I've certainly got there in more of a about a G3. uh, and it's possible, but it's only possible through these works. And the first thing we have to do is go, okay, well, you know, who are we? Again, you said it, because you're labeling, right? Like, I think that's a big thing. Labeling is a great thing and a very bad thing depending on the situation. When you label yourself and it diminishes who you are or what you can be, it's horrible. When you're labeling something to accentuate it, you know, it could be a great thing. But certainly labeling, as you just really were talking about, you're labeling yourself, I'm a loan officer, I'm just a loan officer. And, you know, people even say I'm just a loan officer. No, you know, think of yourself bigger than that, because yeah, you're right. I mean, and what I get jazzed about, and I know you do too, is, and it's kind of like, I look at it like this. I am not a car guy. I am not a car guy. Like, I like cars. I like to drive them. I like to drive fast. You know, I'm definitely lead foot, but I don't know a ton about cars. And I got a Jeep, right? And there's a Jeep owner that's the Jeep guru that could get my Jeep and be like, oh, you know, this has this feature here, right? Like, oh crap, sure does. And it's got this. And I'm like, oh crap, it does that too. Right. Like, I remember I had this nice Tahoe, and actually I had it for a while. And it's like, I didn't even know. Like, you could pop this, like, you know, in the dashboard, it'd pop up and you could put stuff in it, right? Behind the panel. And I was like, what the heck is that? I didn't even know it. And what I get so excited about is because, you know, us working inside the Genius and bringing the Genius out is, we're literally just taking and getting in their vehicle and saying, dude, you know that you can just pop this and it's just could blow your mind and blow up your business. And that's all really you're doing, is you're taking the capabilities someone has and you're just illuminating it. And I think that's such a key. And that's why I get so excited about it, because I look at someone's business. It doesn't matter what they're doing. You know, there's a suit shop in Richmond, Kentucky. I love them. If you ever listen to them, not, you know, it's great. But like, I think about, if I went in there, I could grow his business so fast, just doing a lot of the same things. But he's going over there, he's doing all the measurements, he's doing all the, you know, the ordering, he's doing all this stuff. But guess what? He never follows up with me. He's never called me and say, hey, you know what? You ready for your next suit? Hey, by the way, is there anything done, or is he hiring it out even? None of that stuff is done, where there's so much opportunity to grow. And that's any business. And that's what
It's like, hey,
excites me.
you know that navy blue suit you just ordered, Adam, here a couple months ago? We just got 3 or 4 brand new shirt fabrics in that go perfect with that shade of
Yeah.
blue. And then we even got some new fresh Italian ties that come in, that when you set these ties in front of this linen shirt that you'd lay over top of that new blue suit,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, Adam, everyone
Yeah.
would see you walking in the room.
Yeah. And he's
It's like,
good. He's great at what he does. And now he's such a professional with that, because I do trust him. When I come in, it's like, you know, a lot of times, like, well, what do you like? I'll literally, what do you think it should go with? What shirt you think
yep.
I should put with it? I ask him that. And he tells me, and he advises me. And it's the same thing with lending. And so he doesn't have to do, like, he would never, in this situation ever, would I be offended. I wouldn't be feeling like, man, I wasn't taken care of. If, like, I came in and somebody was like fitting me at the same time, and he was like, hey, I would suggest this. Or there's so many things that he doesn't have to do that I would never, ever, ever think badly of. And honestly, I would think more highly of him, because he'd probably contact me more. There'd be more suggestions being made. I would buy more stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Now, that's what loan officers too, because if we're making the critical conversations of, hey, how can you build wealth? Hey, you know, you can buy like, this is one that people don't understand. You can buy your next one as a primary residence and put very little down just because you have a prime and just rent that out. Here's how you build wealth. Oh my goodness. Those are conversations. Not, does anybody care that I'm not gathering their paperwork? No. If they do, well, it's one in very little, and you got so much more reach not doing that.
Yeah, and the thing that I think that the most of the business owners, when you talk about some of these stories, is that business owners they're afraid of making the wrong hire.
Yep.
They're afraid of misidentifying somebody. They're afraid that this is going to be somebody that's going to cost them money. So
Mm-hmm.
they're assigning all of these labels to these things that just simply aren't true.
Right.
It's saying, well, this one time I had this one person and I was going to have them do this one thing, but they took twice as long to do it as I did. So I should just do it myself because at the end, it's just going to be cheaper and faster for me to do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the story, right? But then what reality? Reality is that they were assigning the wrong task to the wrong individual.
Yeah.
It's me going to you, Adam, and say, hey, Adam, I'm really busy right now. Can I just go ahead and shoot you, a couple pages of this computer code, and can you just go ahead and get this code entered into this software on the back end of my website so we can start getting some of these things integrated and working better? You're not a code guy. So now I'm following up with you like 10, 15 times, like, Adam, what's going on? This thing keeps breaking. Why is this taking so long? Oh my God, this is costing so much money. This is going on forever.
Yeah.
Well, I just gave you the wrong task,
Yeah.
right? I assigned the wrong task to you. But when we hire somebody who is exceptionally good at processing, they're exceptionally good at client control, they're exceptionally good at follow up, they're exceptionally good at team management, they're exceptionally good at administering, and they're exceptionally good at being able to do organizational skills, task organizational skills. When you find people that are really good at that, now I'm asking you to do something that not only do you do better than I do, but you're doing it faster
Yeah.
than I do it. So you're never, ever an expense. No business owner, myself, Adam, no high level business owner, we don't hire people because they're expenses.
Right.
You don't hire anyone and look at them and say, well, this person is going to cost me $3 grand a month. It's like, this person's going to free me up so I can create another 10.
Yeah.
I'm investing 3 so I can go out and create 10, doing the 2 or 3 things that I'm great at rather than the 7 or 8 or 9 things that I suck at that take me forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. And yeah, we all listen, we all hire incorrectly. I mean, but um we also have to look at ourselves as how good of a leader and a coach are we being at all times. And of course, that's certainly something we continue to talk about, and with our clients, with our coaching clients, is how good of a coach are you, and how you coach people through it. That should be a daily thing that you're doing. You're coaching ahead. You got to nurture people. You got to encourage people, and you have to empower people, because I tell you what, when you can get the right people in place and not know it because you're not doing the things necessary, because you still have the old stuff going on and all these things are going on. It's an expense, and all this stuff is just filling up your head, and you're not acting powerfully enough with the people you have in place. But when you do hire good, even if you don't hire great, if you hire good and you're an excellent communicator with coaching and nurturing and all that stuff, like, they're going to not be an expense. Like, you don't have to have the best team. If you're coaching well, you're empowering, they're going to leverage you deals. Now, do you want a great team? Absolutely. And maybe that's one of those things where throughout time you realize, like, hey, you have to hire better or whatever. But the fact is, like, you got to put them in place, and that's a key. And I don't know, I just learned that really early on. I just started adding people because I was really successful right out of the gates. I mean, I did 132 loans my first year, and boom, I was just, okay, this is great, doing really well. But I need to start adding people in place, because I don't want to work 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and you just go. And I remember I don't know where that trigger hit too, as I started, of course, listening and reading. And guess what happens? Sometimes you listen and read enough and you get some ideas and keep trying to grow. You go, wait a second, there's other ways to do this. And nobody around me was doing any of that. They weren't really trying to add people, but it just never made sense to me that much to why I would be doing that, some of those things. And, it takes longer for other people sometimes to realize that, but, it's never too late. It's never too late at this time to go, you know what? And I remember also in the midst of that, I was talking about there's a loan officer doing a lot of volume. And I remember talking to this loan officer, and I'll never forget this. He says, God, man, no way. And he was doing about 3 loans a month. I was slinging at that point about 15 loans a month, 20. And he was even to me, he's like, dude, I would never want to do that. It's like, that's too much headache. That's no way, no way. And then literally, this is the same guy that was like the week or 2 weeks prior was stressed out about a loan closing because he had to have that money.
Yeah.
He had to have the money. He was like, he didn't have money. And it's like, whoa, right? So that's literally, you may be out there listening to this and going, well, that's me. I'm worried about money, but I'm also worried about my health and well-being and all this stuff but it's not either or. You can do both.
Yeah, and the thing you said that people screw up is that they are looking at it in their own frame, right?
Yep.
So the frame they have is, someone who owns 12 rental properties, and they're already down there. They're always there fixing stuff and dealing with management and dealing with all the headaches and rent not being paid, and they're just all of the junk, all of the stuff going on, right? And they're stressed with 12 units. And then you introduce them to somebody, and by the way, inside of their circle, it's kind of like what you call, like, if you have 12 units and all of your friends got like 2 or 3 rental properties, well, then all of a sudden you're like the king of the dipshits, right? It's like, well, I've got 12 and everyone else has got 2 or 3, so then you kind of become the king of the dipshits. And you're like, well, you're kind of the king dog in the middle of things. But then all of a sudden you find somebody who has like 120 properties, and all you can sit there and think is, number one, no longer are you the king because you have 12 and they have 120. But then you immediately cast into, I would never want to own that many rental properties, right? I would never want to own that many. I mean, dude, you have no idea how much time I'm down there dealing with renters' headaches, leaky toilets, and people not paying their rent. You have no idea how much of my week I spend doing that with just 12 units. Dude, if I had 120 units, I would kill myself. Well, they're casting their current crappy situation on what 120 looks like. Dude, I was in a mastermind with someone who has over 5,000 units.
Yeah.
This guy's a stud. He's like 38, 39 years old. He owns over 5,000 units. Do you think he runs around all day stressed out of his mind 100 times more so than someone with 12?
No, less.
Got a incredible, ridiculous team where Tim's not even involved in the majority of the decision making anymore. They're closing on 300 and 400 units, and he forgets sometimes to show up for these freaking transactions. And he's like apologizing to his team. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They're like, "Dude, believe me, things would have gone longer and slower if you would have been there. We got it all handled. It's all buttoned up and taken care of."
Right.
Right? He's got such a good team that they perform at a better level a lot of the times when he's not around. It's the same thing in my business. I'm the one who screws it up most of the time. If I'm doing my 2 or 3 genius things, boy, times are good. You put me outside of that and you want me to start talking about the other things,
Yeah,
bad news. So that's what the loan officer, I mean, the loan officer, there's 3 things, right? Is that we're required to let people know who we are. We need to talk, get our word out there, messaging somehow through marketing. We need to be able to find a way to sell that thing, convert it, turn it into an actual sale. But then through that is, while we're growing, we're required, unless we want to build an employee role for ourselves, unless that's really what you wanted to do. I just want to be an employee under a different title. Now we're required to build an expert team around us. And when we build an expert team around us, hours go down, stress goes down, happiness goes up.
Yeah.
Always. Because you're spending 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week doing the thing you love, that you're great at, that you don't procrastinate
Right.
from doing. That loan officers I've talked to, and they have 3 or 4 deals that they're sitting on, and it's 2 or 3 days later and they still haven't done processing, because they do their own processing and they despise it. So they're like, oh, I'm just dreading having to do these 3 deals. I'm dreading to have to sit in front of my computer for most of the day and process these loans. Like,
Yeah.
why in the world are you processing loans?
Right.
What are you
Right.
doing?
Well, that's why,
You're
I mean, that's, I
miserable.
mean, yeah. And I mean, it's look at the, I mean, all you got to do is look at a disc profile, right? I mean, disc profile or personality, any of those you want to do for personality is, your drivers and the people that are interactive and the ones that are going out that can hunt. Like, they're not the process oriented, doing all that kind of people. That's not their genius, and that's not where they want to be. And all you're doing is being counterintuitive to what you really should be doing. And yeah, I mean, like now, I mean, I have a great team. I have a excellent team. I have a business partner. I mean, that's what I name her, a business partner, because I'm not going to just, I mean, a lot of programs out there are like a loan partner and stuff like that. And, and there certainly some of them I can say that about, but you have to have that centerpiece and saying, okay, you take care of it, right? You really, that's kind of what you're saying, getting out of the business all the way. And like, you're not, it's running better, right? You run the team huddles, you do that because you tell me how it needs to be done. And I'm going to work in my areas that are required by only me, and the rest can be taken care of. And that's how you're able to reduce the hours, reduce the stress, increase the loans, and really the process for the clients be better. It's not a one they'll say either or. I mean, the process and the clients are better served because they're with
Infinitely better.
people. They're with people that they should be with in that part of it.
Yeah,
It's just
infinitely
that
better. I
simple.
mean, you use the suit example. I mean, imagine the fact, and that's a major mind F that I hear loan officers talk about too. They're like, well, the realtors used to talking to me. The agents used to hearing back from me. The title companies used from, the clients used to, so they just have it in their head that they have this value. They have some
Mm,
real extreme value that they have to be the primary. Think
yep.
about walking into that suit company and think about if the owner comes up and greets you and says, oh, Adam, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so excited you've decided to come back in and invest more time and energy and money into our clothing line. Here, let me go ahead and get you connected with our expert tailor, and go ahead and get you measured. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get you into our next step. And then in comes Mauricio. Mauricio steps in and he finally measures you and gets
Yeah.
everything all set and done. And the owner says, hey, how'd everything look? And Mauricio says, oh, he's looking big, looking strong. Say, oh, fantastic. Hey, Mauricio, will you go ahead and show him over to Janelle? So Janelle can go ahead and help show you the shirts and ties that we just got in and see what we can get matched up to your new suit. And then he passes you over to Janelle, and the Janelle goes over and eloquently goes and displays all the wonderful fabrics and everything going on and how that looks. And then you get that done. You say, hey, now let me go and take you over to Thomas. Thomas is really great, and he's going to help you out with any kind of belts and or fittings or clippings or shoes that you may want to go ahead and add to this. And then they do all that, and then they get you all taken care of with your package. And at the end, the owner comes back around and says, fantastic, I'm going to go ahead and have Sam, our specialist, go ahead and he's going to perform all the follow-up with you. We're going to provide you with weekly updates on the customized, let you know where everything's going on, when the fabrics are getting done, when everything's finished up over in Italy, when these things are going to get sent and shipped back to you. And then we'll have you come in, and then we have our fitting specialist over there on the side of the room, Jonathan, who I don't believe you've met yet. And he's our fitting specialist, and he'll go ahead and make sure that everything is just perfect when you come back in. Adam, thank you so much. I appreciate your business, and we'll look forward to seeing you in here in a few weeks when your suit comes back.
All right.
Like, there's that, or there's watching the owner running around like just sweating
Oh yeah.
taking the
Yeah.
measurements and, oh, let me pull out some shirts for you and here, and oh, let me do this
Yep.
follow up, and here I got to get this stuff sent over to the company in Italy, and oh, we screwed up this fabric, and oh my God, I don't know if I have time for a fitting right now. It's
Yep.
like
Exactly. And here's the,
two different
here's,
worlds.
and you just said it. I know we're wrapping up here, but I got to get you off here, and I got to, same. We got to stay on time. And, but so here's a prime example. And you just said it. Okay. You said, hey, listen, the realtors used to hearing from me. So there was a title issue, and I'm really good friends with this title, the guy that runs the title agency, you know, good guy, great guy, friends. And so there was an issue going on. And so I called him directly. Normally I don't get involved in these situations. It's one of those, like, it's like, okay, I'm going to make this call. So I called him and he said, man, he said, okay, yeah, let me see what I can do. He said, I'll be honest, I don't know anything that's going on in this situation, but I'll dig in it. And guess what I told him? I said, well, absolutely. I didn't expect that you would know anything about it, right? Because, like, why would you? Why would you be involved in the processing of this whole thing and all that stuff? What did I expect from him? That he would then talk about it and coach his team through that. Because, there was blowback almost coming on us, like it was us and it wasn't us. So guess what? I expected him to now just handle it and coach his team through it and be good. And guess what? He did. And guess what? He still gets all my title work.
Yeah,
I knew that he was
naturally.
going to handle the situation. I knew he was going to coach it through it. I knew it was going to be fine. I don't expect him to do all the title stuff or contact me all the time and all this other. That's not what that realtors don't either, really. Like, and there may be one out there that does, but guess what? There's plenty of them that's not going to be. And if they don't not a fit for you, that's okay. You can you can serve way more people, way better if you run the business as a business owner, as coaching your people through, as having a system, than you can ever try to do it where you're just accommodating one individual and doing everything because they expect you to do everything. Just, if that's not the fit, and I've had that conversation with one realtor, and I said, and I went through some dialogue, and at the end of it, I said, you know what? It just sounds like we're not a fit, and that's okay. And guess what? I moved on. I could serve
Yeah,
way more people. And so that's very rare, but if you have that, it's okay. You can serve way more people, way more efficiently, and people are going to be happier. It's fine. And guess what? At the end, I get clients all the time where I've spoke to it just a few times. I've had, some wild calls with all that. Guess what? Shout me out on Facebook. Thank you so much. You're the best things ever. Why? Because they know I had the team, because I did have some nice, good, impactful conversations, but only a few. They knew who the business owner was in that, and they appreciate that. They appreciate the service. And guess what? I got massive credit for that, and it was fine. They were well served. So I know we got to wrap up here, but as always, Dallas, I mean, it's always good when we're off camera as well, talking and just diving in stuff. We got some huge things going on for Genius Loan Officer, getting into the G6, just absolutely crushing business in way less time, and just being systematic and being in their genius for just a few hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine. I mean, and this is the takeaway. Hopefully, for if you're a loan officer listening to this, is just imagine that this isn't just about increasing your volume, right? Like, increasing your volume is wonderful. It's a skill. It's something that you develop over time and get better at. But just imagine a world, which sounds crazy. It sounded crazy to me 12 years ago. Imagine a world where you would double your production and reduce your hours by 15 or 20 hours.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you're doing 5 loans in 40 hours, and if you could do 10 loans in 30. It sounds like fairy tale nonsense, It sounds like unicorns and rainbows, but that's what real CEOs of their companies do. They leverage their knowledge and their genius, and they infuse that into an A team that is operating better, quicker, faster, smarter than they ever could on their own, so that you're making more money in less time. Just
Yeah.
imagine if that was real, and if there's a real system or process that can show you how to do that. It's very real. Adam does numbers far greater than that in far less time. It's very, very real. But part of it is stop telling yourself the stinking story about, well, 5 loans is hard enough, 10 would be awful. No, 10 can be 10 times easier than doing 5 when the right marketing is layered on top of the right sales, which is layered on top of the right team. Those 3 things in place, everything will change for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love it as always. Y'all hit us up, geniusloanofficer.com. You can get on there, jump on there, get a strategy call, and, see what it's all about. Remember to like and subscribe this podcast, share with people, get the word out there. As always, we're going to continue to bring as much heat on this podcast as we can. If you just are listening and, hey, you don't want to subscribe to any or to get any coaching and all that stuff, hey, take this, apply it, run with it. If it helps you, it will help you. If you apply it, that's great. I've got several people reach out to me and tell me how much it's meant to them, how they've grown their business by just listening to the podcast. I absolutely love it. That gives me great joy. Go out there. You remember, guys, just go out there and crush it. Be in your level of genius. And remember, limited risk equals limited income.